Hello, loves. Welcome to my Empath Survival Guide Challenge. I'm going to wait a few moments to have people log in, tune in, because I know that I have some interested people that have been looking forward to this challenge, and I've been speaking to you personally. Oh, I got Bridget watching. Say hello, hello, hello. I got Bridget. She's a soul sister. I got Eleanor on, and I think I should have Chanel on. Let me just message her. And I wanted to just do a warm welcome to everybody. So everyone that's joined my group, welcome. We are a sisterhood where I and everyone is a supportive group. And so we're going to dive into this challenge, but as a welcoming, I wanted to do a quick little dance party, okay, guys? So you get to see me dance. I have been on this 90s kick these days, so we're going to listen to some 90s. Are you ready, guys? I hope you guys can hear this. We're going to get it. We're doing a dance party because I wanted to raise the vibration. So I've been on a 90s kick, guys. So that's for all of you who are 90s lovers, as I am. I wanted to raise our vibration because what happens when we dance and move through our bodies is not only do we raise our vibration, but we can, oh, thanks, Chanel. We are able to move energy through our bodies. So whenever you're having a difficult day or you're feeling really overwhelmed with emotions, dancing is a really good way of doing that. So step one, dance. Dance, laugh, be merry. Okay, so love you guys. Sending you so much love. I want to say shout outs right now. I have Allison, Chanel, Eleonora, and Bridget with me. So let's dive in, guys. Okay, so day one is do not dance like no one's watching. Yes! And we can have dance parties in this group all the time. Day one is do not fear your emotions. They will guide you. Okay. So every single day of this challenge, I will do a prompt like I did in this group. I will pin it at the top, and then I'll give you a challenge in order to do each day. I'm doing the hashtags Empath Revolution and Empath Survival Guide. Oh, Maya's on the line. Love it. Okay, so each time we post in the group, I want you, with the exercise, do the hashtag Empath Survival Guide, Empath Revolution. Okay, so as an empath, one of our biggest challenges is the fact that we feel so deeply. And in feeling so deeply, it can be really overwhelming. So the automatic response that people have is that they kind of either compartmentalize, suppress, or just kind of shut down. By the way, if you guys have any questions, type it in. This is all open format for all of you, and I'll respond accordingly. So what that means is that as we feel really deeply, we suppress our emotions, and then as a lashback, we kind of shut down, a lot of us. So that can be hibernation, where, I have this woman that messaged me that's an empath that said she literally has shut herself out to the outside world in order to preserve her energy. We don't have to get that drastic. So I'm going to teach you guys tools in order to navigate your emotions. So in the prompt that I created for you guys, because I think it's really good to have a visual representation and an audio representation of what I'm doing, I talk about emotions as colors. So just as we have primary colors, which are red, yellow, and blue, then if we mix them, we get different colors, and then we can get like turquoise, magenta, hot pink is what I said. Same thing with emotions. Our basic emotions are happy, sad, disgusted, angry, fearful, bad, and surprised. There are 6, okay? There have been studies on this. So people that have a hard time accessing their emotions, it's really good to access the emotion wheel. If you guys have never heard of this wheel, PM me. I'll post it in the group because it's really helpful for people that are having a hard time identifying what they feel. So in this wheel, this emotion wheel, we have the core, which is these 6 emotions. So let's start with happiness. Hey Victoria, so good to see you. You missed the dance party. I know you love the dance parties. So in the core of the wheel, we have happiness, sadness, disgusted, angry, fearful, bad, surprised, okay? And I'll post it for you guys if you guys are interested. And those are the basic emotions, just like the primary colors. And as we expand, they're at varying degrees. So let's start with happiness. Happiness can then start, oh yeah, okay, great. Eleanor is interested, so I will post it. So then happiness can then expand. So we can have varying emotions to bliss, to ecstatic, to, for happiness, varying emotions of happiness within them. So this, as it expands, we have varying degrees. So same thing with anger. We can feel discontent. We can feel things like livid, that's a really strong word. So we have these varying degrees. And this emotional wheel can help us really pinpoint what we're feeling. So it's better to start with the basics and then expand out. So I'll post out this emotional wheel. And the reason why this is so important to be able to pinpoint our emotions is because once we pinpoint it, we give it breath, we give it life, we give it space to be expressed. Because we aren't just black and white, we aren't just red, yellow, and blue. We have so many emotions within us, so many things to be expressed, so many varying colors. We are rainbows of the spectrum, and it's not expected to us to live our lives in black and white. So as empaths, because we feel very deeply, we can feel happiness to such extremes because we're such sensitive souls. And at the same time, we can feel sadness to such an intensity that, we can get quite easily depressed. This is something that people don't talk enough about, which is the fact that as empaths, we feel so deeply and so intensely that we can feel wide areas of the spectrum, to extreme happiness, to extreme depression. And the reason why this happens is because the law of duality. As something is over here on one spectrum, we have the opposite. That's the law of duality. So as much as we can feel happiness, it makes sense to have as much sadness as well, because we are these containers, and without one, we don't have the other. So as empaths, it's very easy for us to be able to navigate and move between this huge spectrum of like complete happiness and bliss to such sadness that we go into such depression, right? Oh yes, thanks Eleanor for your heart and love. So when we feel so deeply and we're a container for such drastic emotions, right? And I'm going to say that's a beautiful thing, because who else can feel such wide-ranging emotion? It's like music. With music, it's like painting. The more we can feel, the more colorful we are. So it's nothing to be scared of. So the underlying fear for empaths is being able to access these emotions. And the reason why we are so terrified of accessing these emotions is because the fear around it is that if we feel into these emotions, we will lose control. That is the primary fear that all empaths have, because we feel so much that we're afraid that if we feel into them and dive into them, we will lose control. Now, I'm here to tell you that that is completely false. That is completely false. The reason why you started having this preconception or this idea is because we have all been there at some point in time where we have not been able to manage our emotions. that we have done something out of the, snapped at someone, done something that was a little bit crazy or something like that because we weren't able to contain our emotions. And the reason why we weren't able to contain our emotions is because we didn't go through this process that I'm going to start telling you. And this process is allowing for our emotions, feeling them, and then releasing them. Okay, so emotions are like water. For anyone that studies tarot, the cup suite is for water and emotions. There's a reason why emotions for centuries have been associated with water. Us as an individual, as an empath, we have this container. And we have this container that can only hold so much. So every time we have an emotion come up, let's say we're going through our day and we're frustrated because we're in traffic or whatever that is, and we suppress it because we have other things to do, our container starts filling throughout the day. Fill, because we're suppressing it and not letting it go anywhere. So then as our container fills, right, it's going to come to a critical point. And at that critical point, it will overflow. And that's when we do things that we regret. That's when our emotions become unruly, because it has had all of these levels of buildup from suppression, from being compartmentalized. They're not going anywhere when we suppress our emotions. They're staying right inside our bellies. And usually they're stored right here. Okay? So whenever you feel high levels of stress and anxiety, I can tell you get knots in your stomach, and that's because you're storing all these emotions right here. And that's because you're not allowing for this container to flow. So instead of suppressing or compartmentalizing, I'm going to encourage you to dive into your emotions. And how do we dive into emotions? We dive into emotions by allowing them to flow. So water, our emotions are like water. And just as we have a stream, a trickling stream of water, the more you allow them to flow, the more clean the water is, right? When you're out in the woods and you grab some water, you always grab water from a stream that has flow. If there is standing water, like the container that I just said, that creates buildup of toxicity, of bacteria, of all this stuff. And that's essentially what's happening in our bodies. When we are not allowing for emotions to flow, we're creating stagnant energy, stagnant emotions. Feel into it, girl. It's okay to feel emotional. That's totally normal. The more we give ourselves permission, Eleanor just says that she's feeling emotional just by listening. Allow it to come. It's totally normal. Everything that we feel is normal. It is okay. So as we have the standing water that I was saying, we're not allowing for the emotions to come. It creates toxicity, it creates bacteria, it creates disease, okay? And that is why people say the number one contributor to illness is stress. And that stress comes from our stagnant emotions that are building up. That stagnant uneasiness and uncomfortability, that anxiety that we feel that we never gave a voice to. So as empaths, in order to not have this toxicity, we have to go into flow. And going into flow requires us to give our emotions breath. Okay, we need to flow. We need to have our emotions come in and then let go. So how does that work? Step one, we need to acknowledge our emotions. Give ourselves permission to feel. Everything that we feel, we have to say it's normal, it's okay. Have compassion for, as much as we have compassion for other people, have compassion for yourself for feeling. We are human, and our body is made up of 65% water. So think about it this way. Our body is made up of 65% emotion, okay? So if we allow our emotions to come and flow, it will end up being a guiding factor for you. So step one is acknowledge the emotions. Step two is ask yourself why. So Eleanor just said she's feeling emotional just by listening to my explanation right now. Okay, so what emotions are you feeling, Eleanor? Are you feeling overwhelmed? Are you feeling like this is truth and someone actually understands your experience? So it feels like compassion. It can feel like understanding. It can feel like all these different things. My skill set, by the way, if you guys don't know what I do, I'm psychic and I'm able to empathically feel what you feel. So I'm really good on the one-on-ones and helping you navigate what you feel. Another thing that comes up for empaths is anger. Anger comes up a lot for us because our default emotion is empathy. That's why we're an empath, and compassion. So we put other people before us. And so we don't allow ourselves to get angry because we feel wrong for feeling angry. We feel wrong for feeling angry because our default emotion is empathy and sympathy and compassion. So we feel those things for other people, but we don't allow ourselves to get angry. Okay? So step one, I'm going to start over again, is acknowledge your emotions. Ask yourself, what do I feel? Step two, once you acknowledge I feel angry, I feel sad, ask yourself why. Why do I feel these things? Yeah, I was tapping into that, Eleanor. I picked up the understanding and also feeling overwhelmed because, what I just did during this talk, I just kind of poked that area, that container that you have brewing up in your solar plexus, in the area of our bellies, which contain a lot of our emotions. I kind of poked at it to give it breath because it needs to live, which is why you got that overwhelming feeling. If anybody else is feeling anything, feel free to tune in. I can help you navigate it. So I can walk you through this exercise that we're doing right now. So step one is acknowledging your emotions. Step two is asking yourself why. So Eleanor felt overwhelmed. The next question is, why does she feel overwhelmed? She feels overwhelmed because finally she's having somebody understand her experience. And that feels like breath. That feels like expansion. It feels like container can open up even more. And by the way, this is a safe space. I created this a safe space for a reason, so that we can express ourselves vulnerably and have compassion for one another. Okay, so step three is releasing it. Aw, thanks, Jackie. So step three is releasing it. So once we figure out and acknowledge our emotions, right away you can feel that tightening kind of loosen. Okay, so right now if you're feeling anxiety, say, name it. I feel anxiety. I feel nervous. I feel overwhelmed. I feel scared. I feel scared. Why do you feel scared? Ask yourself that question. If someone is here on the call and you feel an emotion, I can help tune into you and help do this exercise. So if you want to tell me right now what you're feeling, I can help you go through this. So if you're feeling anxious, which is a huge thing for all empaths across the board. All of us have high anxiety levels, and that is because we feel so much overall. So ask yourself, why do I feel anxious? I feel anxious because it could be the fact that I'm in a crowd right now. Eleanor just said, yes, I do feel like as I allow myself to express my emotions, they become even bigger, like a flood. Yes, okay, and that's okay, because create a sacred space for yourself, Eleanor, and whether that's in your room, whether that's in a bathtub. Okay, access it. It will feel like a flood because you have this container that built up, okay, that I kind of like showed you before. And as you allow yourself to feel, a lot of times we might even cry, and that's okay. That's normal. That's healing. That's healing because it's releasing. As I said, our emotions are like water, so as they come, let them flow. As they flow, they release, and sometimes that release comes in tears. Hi, Ashley. Ashley's joining us. So, step one again, acknowledge your emotions, name them. And so I did the exercise, which is your challenge today, is to start with the I feel statement. I feel ... I feel ... I feel angry, I feel sad, I feel overwhelmed, I feel in love, I feel scared. Ask yourself, why do you feel scared? I feel scared because I'm afraid of being hurt. And then once you start doing this process, then the emotions can release. So that is the challenge today. That is the exercise, giving space for our emotions. And what better way to hold space in this beautiful group that I've created with so many empaths, which means everyone's going to have compassion for everyone else. And that is the challenge today, which is to write I feel statements until you've exhausted all emotions. What that does is that you're acknowledging your emotions and get as detailed as possible. So I feel sad, why do you feel sad? And then keep going, keep expanding. Once you do that, you'll notice within your physical body a loosening, because we're giving breath, we're opening that container, we're allowing it to finally flow, because we're giving recognition to our emotions. When we give recognition to our emotions, we're giving recognition to ourselves, because we are not just our mind, but also our emotions and our heart. So that is essential and critical to your health, is allowing and acknowledging your emotions, especially as an empath, because we feel so deeply. So this exercise, this challenge today, is to write I feel statements. I feel blank, 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 until you're exhausted. I want you to write this in the group. Start a thread, write I feel statements, and then once you've exhausted all emotions, I want you to write down the statements, I give myself permission to feel. Say it with me if you're watching on the call. I give myself permission to feel. And even put your hands on your heart, because you're giving yourself a love. I give myself permission to feel. It is safe for me to feel. The more I allow myself to feel, the more control I actually have. I give myself love and compassion. I give myself permission to feel. Feeling into my emotions gives me more control. Once I feel into these emotions, I release them. They do not need to stay in my body. I release them and I give them love. So I wrote this all out at the prompt, which I pinned at the beginning of my the group. I pinned, so it's at the top, so you can have a visual representation of everything that I'm talking about today. And then at the beginning of the thread, I want you guys to just say the hashtags Empath Survival Guide, Empath Revolution. So this is step one of really harnessing your empath gifts, which is knowing that you are a sensitive soul, knowing that you are emotional, knowing that it's okay to have emotions, knowing it's okay to access it, because once we access it, we actually gain more control of who we are, how we feel, and how we act. So this is step one, is giving ourselves permission to feel, acknowledging it, and releasing it. Now, this is an essential tool that I'm giving you guys. The expansion of this tool is where we harmonize our mind and our heart, which is very difficult for a lot of empaths to do, because they think that it's exclusive. And actually it's difficult for most people to do, to harmonize our mind and our heart. So this is kind of step one in the process. In my Empath Survival Guide course, it's an online course that's 4 weeks long, I will teach you all the steps to harmonize your mind and your heart, so that you can make decisions that you'll feel completely 100% at ease with, because they can work together. The first thing is to acknowledge your emotions. So this is step one of day one of the challenge, guys. I'm now opening up the floor to Q&A. So if you guys have any questions, please type it in below, and I'll address it. I'll be here for the next 30 seconds to a minute, however long you guys want to go, and I'll answer any questions that come up for you. Also, while you guys are posting your questions, if you have any questions, be sure to do the challenge, so that when you post in the group, I will get to each and every one of you. So you'll all get individualized attention from me. So be sure to participate. Be sure to post into the group about this exercise and challenge that I'm giving, which is the I feel statements, and I'll help you navigate and guide. Also, if you want these sent to your email, there is a link that I posted in my event for this group. So, opening up the floor, question time, Q&A, anything that you guys want to shout out to me. And as you guys are doing that, I have had posts from you guys saying that boundaries are something you like to talk about. That will be coming, I think, day 3 of the challenge. So be sure to continue with this challenge. Okay, since no one's asking any questions, post on the group I will get to all of you. Be sure to do that. Give personalized, individualized attention. For all of you that know me, you know that I care very deeply about each and every one of you. So my heart reaches out to you and gives you so much love, sending you so much love. And rewind back to the beginning of this call in session is the fact that if you have a hard time feeling into your body or into the emotions, into releasing it, a good way is dancing. So I'm sending you so much love. And I look forward to seeing all of your posts in the group. I will be doing this every single day at the same time every day, and there will be replays. So just look for it in my group. If you miss a time, you don't have to show up all the time, but hit the replays. Okay, sending you love. Ciao.